Okay, welcome to this week's episode of Luv Subbin. And you know, in YouTube land, they often say YouTube creators, when they go back and look at their first videos that they ever do,
yeah,
they're kind of cringeworthy. And they're like, oh my God, why?
Well, we have some good ones.
Absolutely. Actually, some of our best videos ever were the first few that we posted. And you can see here, actually from our first episode we ever uploaded to our channel. Pretty good, I think.
Yeah, not too bad.
But there is one video that when we go back on, we just sound like...
We cringe a little bit.
We would have done things so differently, and that's this video right here.
We're sort of adding on to that one.
The I Need a New Tow Vehicle video.
Right.
And actually, it's one of our better performing ones. It got, right now, it's got 17,000 views.
Not too shabby.
And we would have done so many things differently. And the primary thing we would have done differently is we focused on the dealership.
Right, and not so much on the research.
Right, and a lot of people commented, wow, you chose your tow vehicle
based on the exterior and the interior.
Right, and how comfortable it is and the fact that it's blue.
Right.
And that's probably not how you should choose a tow vehicle. And actually, I had spent like 2 months researching how to buy a tow vehicle. And I did all the numbers, I cranked all the math, and had all that stuff done so that when we walked into the dealership,
we knew exactly what we wanted.
And we literally were looking at colors and interiors and stuff like that because we had done all the math. So in this video, we're going to show you the math that I did in choosing our tow vehicle, why we chose it, and hopefully that'll help you if you're choosing a tow vehicle yourself.
Hope you find it interesting.
So let's get inside and let's do some presentation and some math.
Let's go.
We're back inside and we're going to go through the 6 steps that we did in order to determine what was the best tow vehicle for us. And step 1, of course, is to determine the GVWR, or gross vehicle weight rating, of your trailer. And for us, that's found on the closet door on a placard inside the trailer itself. Now, if you're just shopping around for a trailer and you haven't gotten one yet, the best resource is probably the brochure or the salesperson. I'd go by the brochure. Our trailer is a 2002 22-foot International AS, and its GVWR, as we saw, is 5,000 pounds. So that's step number 1. Moving on to step 2. Step 2 is to determine your trailer's tongue weight, and this is often called the hitch weight. And that can usually be found in your RV's manual. And you can see here for our particular trailer, it came out to 400 pounds in the manual. But here's the important part, okay, is that if you see here, it specifically states that that does not include variable weights and optional equipment. So for us, it did not include the fresh water tank fill, the hot water tank fill, the fact that our spare tire was optional equipment for us, and we added front stabilizers. So all of these things had to be added to the hitch weight. And when we did that, it came out to 747 pounds, which is a lot more than in the manual. And if you want to see how we did that using a bathroom scale and some spare lumber, you can go ahead and check out this video, and that's how we determined it. Now that you have your trailer's hitch weight, and it's the actual hitch weight, the next step is to go ahead and check out what your tow vehicle's maximum hitch weight is. And like I say, this could be important, especially if you're thinking about using a smaller pickup truck or an SUV, because like I said, if I just went by my manual and it was 400 pounds and I had a 500 pound hitch weight, I might be like, okay, I'm good to go. But with 747 pounds, I would have exceeded that. So go ahead and check out in your truck's towing guide. There should be a maximum hitch weight, and in our case, it was 1,320 pounds. So the next step is to do our first little bit of math here, and it's kind of simple math, really. So all we're gonna do is compare our tongue weights to make sure we're below our maximum, and yes, 747 is less than 1,320. So now we're gonna move on to our next step. Okay, so the next step is to determine your vehicle's towing capacity. And at first glance, you might think, well, here's my engines, here's my towing capacities, good to go. But no, the towing capacity is very specific to your individual vehicle, and it's dependent upon the engine choice, the cab that you have, whether it's 4-wheel drive or 2-wheel drive, your axle ratio, and we'll talk a little bit about that at the end of the video. But all of this stuff comes down to a very, very specific individual towing capacity. And you sometimes see Ford saying, well, we can tow 13,200 pounds with the F-150. Well, There is one singular configuration that'll tow 13,200 pounds, and you can see that one here with the Ecoboost and the heavy duty tow package and the all that stuff. One vehicle. So when you come down and look at it and you find out what the truck that I was thinking of, it comes out to the towing capacity of 9,000 pounds. So now we're going to do a little bit of our tow capacity math just to make sure that our gross vehicle weight rating of the trailer is less than the tow capacity of the tow vehicle, and we can see we've got a really healthy margin here, so we should be good to go here. Understand your payload capacity, and you can see the payload capacity is found in the door jamb of your driver's side of the vehicle, and this is the how much stuff you can put into the truck. And this was all the stuff, all your cargo, your passengers, all that stuff has to be less than the payload capacity of the vehicle. And if you already have a tow vehicle and you've been towing for a while, you probably know how much stuff you put into the trailer. If you don't, there's an easy way you can do it just by taking some of the bigger, heavier items and go ahead and step on that bathroom scale. So you can see here we've got the generator, we've got the folding bicycles, we've got our hitch, and we even have our passenger. So when we look at it, the tow capacity of our truck is 2,097 pounds, but you must deduct the hitch weight from that tow capacity because all that hitch weight is going to be dumped onto the vehicle itself. So let's go ahead and do some math again. So we're going to do our payload math, and when we find out our actual capacity for the payload is at 2,097 minus the 747 pounds of the hitch weight, so we can actually put stuff of 1,350 pounds into the vehicle. So the first thing I did was I took my empty vehicle to our local transfer station, had them weigh the vehicle, and empty it was 5,400 pounds, and then I put all the stuff that we use, filled up the gas tank, put it all in there, took our passenger, went out to the dump station again and reweighed it, and it came out to 6,037 pounds. So again, we're going to do just a little bit of comparative math. 6,037 pounds is less than my 1,350 of actual payload capacity. So again, we're good to go. We're going to go ahead and talk about this next weight rating, and that's the GCWR, or gross combined weight rating. And this is the overall weight of the truck, all of its stuff, the trailer, all of its stuff. This is the entire weight of the rig, and this can be found in your owner's manual. And for the truck I was thinking of, it was 14,400 pounds all together. So now we're going to do our little bit of our GCWR math, and we're going to go ahead and take the maximum that the trailer can weigh along with the maximum that the truck can weigh. We're going to add that together, and we're going to say, if everything was maxed out, am I below my gross combined weight rating? So I took my 5,000, I added my 7,000, and I came out to 12,050 pounds. Again, I compared to my 14,400 pounds, and I'm good to go. So here's the kicker. If I were to say that my truck is at its maximum capacity, and I said, well, my truck can tow 9,000 pounds, so that means I can buy a trailer up to 9,000 pounds. If I was to add 9,000 to the 7,050, I'd come out with 16,050 pounds gross combined vehicular weight, which is in excess of what I'm allowed. So I would certainly have an issue there. And then the final step, once you got your trailer, once you got your truck, go ahead and measure everything else, because there's a few more little items here to talk about. And first is how your weight is distributed. And you can see here we had our trailer weighed at a cat scale, and if you've not checked out that video, it's a great way to do it. But it will give you both your front axle and your rear axle gross front axle weight rating and the rear gross axle weight rating, and that's how much can sit on the two axles. And you can see here, if you add those two together, that'll give you your gross vehicular weight, and if you add the trailer weight plus the gross vehicular weight, you'll get your gross combined weight rating. So you can see we did that with the final math. Our front axle we were really good on. Our rear axle we were pretty close to our gross axle weight rating, and that's because I had a Reese hitch, and Airstream designed our A-frame really goofy, and that Reese hitch was never able to really distribute the weight properly, and that's why I went ahead and got a new equalizer 4-point sway control, which you can see this video here installing it, and that was specifically to address this issue. Once I went ahead and saw that I was too close on my rear axle, I said, yep, it's time to actually make sure that that weight distribution is going to work properly. So you can see that there. The total vehicle weight of 6,740 pounds, so I'm below my max there. The payload was 1,340, so I'm certainly below my 2,000 pound max there. The trailer rate at 4,660. And finally, my gross combined, adding the tow vehicle and the trailer, came out to 11,400 pounds, so I'm below my 14,400. So that's basically all the stuff that we use to make sure that our truck tow vehicle was capable of towing our trailer. So there's a few other things that went into the decision that we made to buy what has become what we call the Love truck. Exactly. The first of which is diesel versus gas. And really, one reason is we didn't need the extra pulling power that the diesel gives. We've pulled up over passes in New Mexico up over 9,000 feet. And of course, we're here in Vermont, so we have all kinds of steep grades up and down. And our truck pulls that trailer like there's no tomorrow.
Right,
so
it's barely even back there.
And really, diesels are expensive. And to be honest with you, it was the difference between having a payment and being able to write a check for the truck. Exactly. And so we just said, we'll write a check and be done with it.
Right.
Okay, so the next thing we had to decide was between the F-150 and the F-250. And as you can see from the math, first of all, the F-150 was fine, but there was a very important reason why we didn't go with the F-250.
I thought the F-250 was too big.
Yeah.
I felt swamped by it.
Right. It was tall, it was big, and
I'm a little person.
Both people need to be able to be comfortable towing the truck. And she got in the 250 and said, nope.
Too big, too much truck.
Too trucky for me.
Yeah, so I like the F-150 better.
And the next item was whether we would get the Ecoboost or the Coyote V8. And I tell you what, I drove both of them.
I drove both of them too.
And that Ecoboost is friggin' awesome.
It was very neat.
That thing was spectacular. And of course it has a higher tow rating, but we didn't need that either, so that didn't really factor into it. What factored into it was my belief that mechanical systems seldom fail because they're too simple. And the Coyote V8 is just a simpler engine. It just pulls, you know, and some people will say, well, yeah, when you get into the mountains.
Well, we've done the mountains.
We've done the mountains, and it's fine. And so we didn't need the turbocharger. You know, to me, a 6-cylinder turbocharged engine belongs on a 911. A V8 belongs in a truck, but that's just my own little personal belief. So the final thing we're going to talk about is our axle ratio. And to do that, we're going to head outside again. But before we talk about axle ratios, we're going to need to do a costume change. We're out here on the bike to describe axle ratios. And an axle ratio for a truck is how many times the drive shaft has to rotate to turn the wheels one full revolution. So, for example, if you have a 3.55 axle ratio, the drive shaft's going to turn 3.55 times as that wheel rotates once, okay? Most trucks come with a 3.55 axle ratio, and if you order the max heavy-duty tow package, you'll probably end up with a 3.73. But I custom ordered mine with the 3.31 axle ratio. And the reason for that is I really only lost 100 pounds in towing capacity. As you can see, the higher the ratio, the more towing capacity you have, the more torque you have, but also the worse your fuel mileage. So because I was only losing 100 pounds of towing capacity, I went with the better fuel mileage axle ratio. And that might have been important many, many years ago. With my old truck, only had 3 speeds. But with the 10-speed transmissions of the new truck, it really doesn't make a difference. And to demonstrate the difference in axle ratios and what they mean, that's why I'm out here on the bike. If you remember, when you start off from stop, if it's really super easy, that means you've got a high axle ratio, like a 373, okay? Because it's super easy, but you're turning your feet more to get that same speed. Like, see how easy that was? But with a 3.31 like what I have, it's super hard to get going, but it's also going to be moving a lot more slowly. So if you imagine I had a big trailer in front of me trying to get started, I mean, I can barely even get going with this. That would describe a lower axle ratio. more difficult to get up and going, but you're going to be turning your a little bit slower, get better fuel mileage. So we hope this video provided a little bit more information than maybe that first one that we did.
Right, exactly.
And you hopefully you learned a couple different terms, and maybe if you go to buy a new tow vehicle, how you would go about kind of sizing it up.
And researching it.
So if you like this video,
give us a big thumbs up.
And click to subscribe if you haven't already done so.
And comment below if you've used these formulas to determine what truck you buy.
Because we know people love commenting on tow vehicles.
Exactly.
We come out with RV and Airstream related videos every Tuesday.
Thanks for watching.